was once a grand clifftop residence. Now it's covered in graffiti.
The property is crumbling, open to the elements, squatters and vandals. The future of Lamb House remains uncertain.
This is the story of the Lamb House, Brisbane. This mansion was left abandoned for several years, attracting the good, bad and ugly, recently being sold for nearly $13 million. The home became a well-known landmark across Brisbane, making the news and having hundreds of visitors while sitting here decaying over time. In late 2019, I went and explored this beautiful abandoned mansion. The history of this mansion begins back in 1901, when the house was designed and built by a well-known architect, Alexander Brown Wilson. The original owner of this mansion was named John Lamb. He was a draper and established the business Edwards and Lamb, which was situated on Queen Street, the centre of the Brisbane City. John Lamb had this house built in one of Brisbane's oldest suburbs, Kangaroo Point. The suburb dates back to the mid-1800s. The Lamb House was on a 3,146 square metre piece of land on the cliff top of Kangaroo Point, overlooking the Brisbane City and river. This house is made up of 6 bedrooms and 1 bathroom, and was added to the Queensland Heritage Register in October 1992, giving the property protection against demolition or removal. Some important features incorporated in this mansion that make it worthy of this heritage listed status include that this home is important in demonstrating the evolution or pattern of Queensland's history. This home also demonstrates rare, uncommon or endangered aspects of Queensland's cultural heritage. This home is important in demonstrating principal characteristics of a particular class or cultural place. This home is important because of its aesthetic significance, and this home has a special association with the life or work of a particular person, group, or organisations of importance in Queensland's history. Fast forward several years, the house remained in the Lamb family's name, with a lady named Joy Lamb inheriting the ownership of the house after her husband passed away. She was living in this massive mansion on her own. Joy Lamb started contacting the Brisbane Council over the integrity of the house, with weather causing damage to the house as well as supposedly break-ins while she was living alone. The house was a target with generations of belongings left behind. Miss Lamb decided to move out to an apartment down the road and began refusing to pay the bills for the house. Extensive damage continued to happen due to weather, and eventually squatters and homeless people made their way into the home, making it an unsafe place for her to even visit. I went to this location several different times. I just fell in love with this home, as did many others, and with the view it was hard not to come back and visit regularly. Although I ran into squatters several times while here, I also met several other explorers doing the same thing as I was. I walked in on people doing questionable things such as consuming drugs and stealing from the property. I even had an old lady talking to me about the animals, specifically possums, coming in to play the piano at night. These people can be quite unpredictable, especially when they've been taking different substances and have had some questionable experiences when coming across squatters in previous explores. But luckily, nothing bad happened while visiting this home. I can see why this was a popular place for these people to sleep and make it a home for themselves. It's a massive house, and with 3 generations of the Lamb family's belongings inside, giving them some sense of safety compared to sleeping on the city streets. While we explored this mansion, it left a story behind. It took us forever to get through this mansion. Their belongings were scattered all over the floor, and we were knee-deep in old books, clothes, furniture, and who knows what else. The state of the house was in a horrible condition, with holes throughout the ceilings, smashed windows, doors, mirrors, and toilets, and graffiti throughout the home. Many items were broken or stolen. We found mountains of paperwork regarding the state of the house and the unpaid rates that had been piling up for years. You could definitely tell the previous owners were in the draper business, with piles and piles of clothes and materials scattered throughout the home. I don't doubt that there was some really expensive clothing and patterns in this house. Most of the rooms you couldn't even walk into or through, with the amount of belongings that had just been thrown around from people trying to find things that they could keep and sell. Wandering through this house was one of the eeriest feelings I've had. Not knowing what you're going to find around the corner, and also not knowing if someone was squatting in one of the rooms. Exploring these abandoned homes and places can be extremely unpredictable. As we got to the bottom of the stairs, the home smelled extremely bad of urine and feces from the squatters and massive amounts of traffic of people coming in and out of the Lamb House, especially considering there was no power or running water. The first time I went and explored this mansion, I went with my sister and her friend. As we reached the bottom of the floor, we were yelled at by squatters to leave. As I'm sure you can imagine, we didn't stick around and knew not to push our luck, so we cut our losses and left the property. I knew I'd be back to explore the whole property, which I did several times, and gaining the confidence to climb the sketchy ladder to the top of the watchtower, which you saw earlier in this video. I couldn't say goodbye to this house without seeing that view from the top. This mansion all comes back to the abandonment purely from Joy Lamb, gaining up to an estimated of $300,000 unpaid rates and $400,000 in unpaid land tax. This house remained in the property of the Lamb family until its recent sale last year in 2021 in June for $12.75 million. Miss Lamb was interviewed several times over the Lamb house, even stating, "It is my property and my husband's family land for over 3 generations and remains so in any decent person's opinion." She found out about the sale of her family's home through the news, which is just devastating. With an estimated $15 million renovation plans, new owners Stephen J. and Wilson, who are known for their conservation work across Australia and have had award-winning transformations of previous properties. Mr. Wilson is a successful stockbroker and is a chairman for other important organisations in Australia. This husband and wife are currently bringing the life back into the once stipulated Lamb house. They plan to modify the Lamb house and live in it as their private residence, but will open it for the public to visit, most likely through the Open Homes program. I last visited this property, I believe, in July 2021, just after the sale. They had bought it and secured the house and now have 24-hour surveillance and security around the house. This beautiful mansion has now had the power switched back on, several loads of rubbish removed, and scaffolding throughout the house, working towards transforming the once known Lamb house. I can't wait to see how they turn this beautiful mansion around. I hope you enjoyed learning about what was once the glorious Lamb house and how it ended up in the abandoned state it was in for several years. This house was one of the first I got to properly explore, especially with so much history left behind. I hope Steve and Jane Wilson give it the love it deserves and turn this once abandoned mansion into their own loving home. I can't wait to give you all an update once the renovations are all completed. Thank you for watching.